What's up, guys? It's me, Tim. Again, I'm here just giving out some more rebookings of WrestleMania using the same cast of characters. If you were to, hindsight being 2020, Monday morning quarterback, go back, take WrestleManias with the same rosters of guys. All right, this guy versus that guy, this guy versus that guy, or a lot of guys in a battle royal, and just rearrange them a little bit to make the matches a little different. Maybe the main event's a little different to. In my opinion, maybe make it a little bit more interesting. And maybe that's just to my likings, but that's what's fun about it. It's just one guy's opinion. If you're continuing, WrestleMania 1, I had headlined by Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant versus Roddy Piper and King Kong Bundy. WrestleMania 2, headlined finally in the main event with Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant. You had that feud a year early. Now here we are, WrestleMania 3. Rebooking it, and here we go. There's a lot of matches here because there was all in all there was 12 matches on the card back in the day, and here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 11. I have 12 matches as well, so that's a lot for a WrestleMania. But let's go. In the opener, I got the Can-Am Connection going over the Rogeau brothers instead of having. In reality, the Can-Am Connection, which again was Rick Martel and the Z-Man, Tom Zink, in reality, they went over Bob Orton and Magnificent Muraco. I'll utilize that again later in the card. You'll see why. And again, you might not agree with me, but it's an interesting thing to keep going. And again, Muraco and Orton had prominent roles in WrestleManias 1 and 2 for me. Muraco and Orton were still kind of in with Piper. And, sort of those main event feuds and stuff like that. So, we'd want to keep them strong. Then I had Billy Jack Haynes and Hercules. I had Billy Jack Haynes going over Hercules. In reality, they went to a double countout. But here, I like Billy Jack Haynes. Hey, let's give him a rub. You know what I mean? He was a big star, I guess, in Portland. Had a good look to him. Have Billy Jack Haynes go over definitively. It's WrestleMania. Don't give me some, BS double countout thing. Give me a good fall. Maybe he wins by submission, or Hercules smashes his head into the turnbuckle and he gets a roll up. Who knows? But make it a definitive one. My third match, I had a tag match. Now in reality, you had that very famous 6-man with Hillbilly Jim and the two small people, Haiti Kid and Beaver Kid, Little Beaver and Haiti Kid versus King Kong Bundy, Little Tokyo, and Lord Littlebrook. King Kong Bundy splashes Haiti Kid, I guess, or Little Beaver, and it's oh my gosh, how could you do that? But here I would just have it be Haiti Kid and Little Beaver versus Little Tokyo and Lord Littlebrook. Just have it be a little person's match, and just have it be the two of them. And maybe be, they always do comedy spots and all of those matches and stuff like that. So just let it be what it is, and we'll utilize the other guys maybe somewhere else later down the line. And again, I had King Kong Bundy now was the face turn. King Kong Bundy had face turned by then. For my WrestleMania 2, if you saw that video, he had teamed with Mr. T at the previous WrestleMania, and we'll have that. You'll see him later on down the line. I had the Dream Team going over against the Killer Bees. Now, in reality, the Dream Team and Brutus Beef, the Dream Team defeated the Rogeau brothers. I'm a fan of the Rogeau brothers, but maybe they would have, and maybe they were faces at the time too. But Rogeau brothers and Can-Am Connection would have been a really, really good match. I'm not sure if they were both faces at the time, though. Vince probably would have booked it, but you could have got a good match out of that. And here I would have had the Dream Team go over the Killer Bees. Again, because in reality, the Killer Bees basically got squashed in 5 minutes by Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov anyway. So you got Can-Am Connection over Rogeau brothers. Billy Jack goes clean over Hercules. You got the Little People tag match, and Dream Team beats Killer Bees. Next match, I got Tito Santana goes over, beats Danny Davis. Now, in reality, Danny Davis and the Hart Foundation beat Tito Santana and the British Bulldogs. The Hart Foundation were the tag champions at the time. And it always bummed me out that at this WrestleMania, in reality, there was no tag team title match. because they were involved in this six-man match. And Danny Davis, they had the gimmick where he was a referee and then was favoring the Hart Foundation and then became a wrestler after that. But he was always kind of a smaller guy, so he never really felt like a wrestler to me. He always felt more like a referee. So have Tito and Danny put on their match. Still have the same feud, do the house shows with the Danny Davis turn and was a referee and then he turns and blah, 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 all that other stuff. But keep that match separate and let it just be Tito and Danny Davis. And Tito goes over again because Tito's such a good hand and is, you know, a big part of these early WrestleManias in real life and in my fantasy bookings. Now, the next match I got for the tag titles, have the Hart Foundation, who were the champs, go over the British Bulldogs. I think the British Bulldogs weren't around too much later after this anyway. Trying to get this good color. They weren't around for too much longer anyway. So have Hart Foundation, who were heels, have a great match. You know, if they just could have had, you know, 2-on-2, Brett and Anvil versus Dynamite and Bulldog, yeah, they definitely would have been able to really tear the house down. And then the heels keep the titles. Maybe have some sort of cheap finish. Who knows? But that would have been great. Now, in my next match, I got Butch Reed goes over Junkyard Dog, and maybe have him go over clean. Again, I had built Junkyard Dog in these previous ones. You know, Junkyard Dog in my fantasy bookings here won the Intercontinental title in WrestleMania 1, and then he goes over Adrian Adonis in the second one. So he's looking pretty, still a star. Maybe not the greatest worker in the world, but he's got a, you know, the fans love him and stuff. Here you have Butch Reed. You're trying to build Butch Reed. Boom, he goes over Junkyard Dog. He gives him his first loss at WrestleMania. Goes over clean maybe, and maybe even injures him or something like that. And then that's how you could start maybe a big run for the Intercontinental title for him, as he would try to do. I guess in reality they were going to give, after Steamboat won the title, you know, Reed was supposed to get the Intercontinental title with the next guy in line almost. So this could have been the prelude to that. Now my next match, I got Hillbilly Jim defeats King Kong Bundy in a solo match. Boom. Instead of having them do the sixth man with the squash and the small person and the giant man, and now you had King Kong Bundy in between WrestleMania 1. He's a bad guy in these fantasy. Hogan and Andre versus Piper and Bundy. That's the main event. After that, Bundy and Piper have their big fallout. Now Bundy and Mr. T at WrestleMania 2 go over Piper and Orton and their partnership and stuff like that. Now, again, here we are, WrestleMania 3. Bundy's a heel again, so he reverted back, unfortunately. Him and Hillbilly Jim still have their feud, but Hillbilly Jim gets the win over here. You know, again, because you want to send the fans home happy, and the two of them, you know. And that's a big win for Hillbilly Jim. He never really got his just dues anyway. Next matchup, I still got Ricky the Dragon Steamboat goes over Randy Savage in one of the greatest matches of all time. You know, there's no need to change that whatsoever. I would have done it exactly the way that they did it, the exact same thing. Great match. Now, the next match, I have the Honky Tonk Man goes over Koko Beware. Honky Tonk Man in reality had his match with Jake Roberts. They had a feud together. Alice Cooper was involved, the Snake and Jimmy Hart and stuff like that. That was really good feud and probably was good money for them and stuff like that. But I'll show you why I'll use Jake Roberts in my next match. And Koko in reality just got basically squashed by Butch Reed. So here you can just have Honky Tonk Man squish Koko, you know, do his thing, shake, rattle, and roll, keep Honky Tonk Man strong. Again, they were sort of building him up to, you know, be an Intercontinental title challenger too. So that makes him look good. Second to last match, I got Andre the Giant versus Jake Roberts. Have that feud. Have Andre still as a heel. Again, he was a face in WrestleMania 1 in this fantasy booking, teamed with Hogan. WrestleMania 2, they had broken it down already, and it was Hogan, Andre in the main event fighting each other. Now here we are, WrestleMania 3. You have, you still have that feud with Andre and Jake the Snake Roberts, where they would do the, you know, the snake feud. Andre's afraid of snakes. You would do that. I guess that's maybe the next WrestleMania. Let me see. I'm not sure if that's the next WrestleMania or not. No, because the next WrestleMania is a tournament, obviously. Though they did the Andre and Jake the Snake Roberts feud, you know, where Andre's afraid of snakes and all that other stuff. Anyway, so here it's just maybe a little early, and then because in reality, let me see. In reality, obviously you got Hogan and Andre in the main event. and Jake the Snake Roberts is working with Honky Tonk Man. Here you just make that, if Andre already had his main event in WrestleMania 2, you got Andre and Roberts with the Snake, and maybe squashes the Snake like Earthquake did, or some, or you know, you have, but whatever. Andre gets a win back, and Andre looks good at WrestleMania by beating Jake Roberts. And then in the main event of WrestleMania 3 here now, which might sound a little crazy, you got Hulk Hogan teaming with Roddy Piper for the first time. Again, in the first WrestleMania, they were, you know, they still had the same mouthy lead-ups and arguments and all that other stuff. So they're on opposing sides of the tag teams. In WrestleMania 2, you have Piper and Orton still as part of the team, and they're mouthing off with Mr. T still, because it's you know, WrestleMania 1 and Orton and Mr. T working together. But now Bundy was involved with WrestleMania 2 because he hates Piper as well. Now here we are, WrestleMania 3. Hogan and Piper had some sort of getting together, and Orton and Muraco and all that had a falling out with Piper. And they attack Piper, they leave him laying, they leave him somewhere, and the only person that can save him is Hogan or something like that. And maybe Muraco's and Hogan are having house runs together because Muraco's a big, muscly guy too. And him and Muraco are working for the title in schmaz finishes and DQs. And WrestleMania 3, the build-up is that Hogan finally accepts Piper for the athlete that he is, and they work together, and they're going to become a tag team and take on Muraco, who, you know, was a main event guy, I guess, other places in the world, and Bob Orton now, who had been the working man's working man through WrestleMania 1, working with Mr. T, and WrestleMania 2, teaming with Piper to work with Mr. T and Bundy. Now here, you know, Muraco, Orton, and him, you know, really hating Piper and trying to beat up Hogan, and then Hogan and Piper end up victorious in the end, and you got the two of them. So, you know, still keeping with that tag team, super tag team theme, you know, of WrestleManias too. Maybe where you don't, and you might argue, hey, you know, you should defend the world title, but it's also, you know, like back then seeing a big super match like that. You know, especially if you had the right build for it. And maybe that's not the strongest main event. Muraco and Orton in the main event of WrestleMania. But if you booked it right, maybe if you injured Piper and he had to rehab on the way in, or they did something with Hogan, or they stole the belt, smashed the belt, you know, and they had to get the new belt or something like that, you know, it might have been able to work. All right, WrestleMania 4. Now, this is one of my favorite WrestleManias, so it's a tough one to... you know, again, I love it so much. It's a tough one to, you know, try to change, I guess, or whatever. But I got, you know, same thing. Bad News Brown winning the Battle Royal, last eliminating Bret Hart. Said they did it in real life. They were going to split it. Yeah, look at us. We got the trophy. And then Bad News throws them out, and then it's a big, you know, they fight. Bret smashes the trophy. I would have done that the same way. That was good. And then that's sort of Bret's, you know, one of Bret's first starting grounds as being a single star and stuff like that. Now here's my layout for the tournament. I still got Hogan and Andre meeting in the quarterfinals with buys in the first round. All right. Now this, in reality, you had Jake Roberts and Rick Rude went to a 15-minute draw, and nobody went on, and nobody advanced. I would still have that match, but I would have Jake Roberts go over. Again, this is WrestleMania. You're going to waste 15 minutes going that long just to have a draw and stuff like that. They could have had an 8-9 minute match and had a good match, told a good story, maybe 10 minutes, and you know, had Jake go over and be a defending winner and give him a good moment like that. And again, Roberts, Rick Rude was a great opponent, and to put him over like that would have been a great thing. I still have $1 Million Man going over Hacksaw Jim Duggan. They did that in reality. I think that's a good decision. Keep those guys moved on. Here I have Macho Man against Greg the Hammer Valentine in the first round that they did. They would meet up in reality in the quarterfinals. But if I want Macho to still have the best matches I can throughout the course of the night, I would have those guys meet first instead of, Macho and Butch Reed wasn't bad. And again, in my fantasy booking, Butch Reed had the previous year gone over Junkyard Dog, making, so he's coming in strong from last year's WrestleMania. But I would have Macho versus Valentine and have that be a good, solid, hard-hitting, high-flying match. And I would switch it up and have Steamboat Ricky the Dragon Steamboat go over Butch Reed. And now in reality, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat got eliminated in the first round by Greg the Hammer Valentine, who would go on to meet Macho Man in the quarterfinals. And people were like, you did not put Macho Man Randy Savage and Ricky Steamboat as a quarterfinal match. It could have been a rematch from last year's WrestleMania, which was one of the greatest matches of all time. Why would you not book that? And I don't think they were like in love with Ricky Steamboat at the time anymore, so that might have had something to do with it. But guess what? In my fantasy booking, I got Macho Man and Ricky Steamboat meeting in the quarterfinals. Steamboat moves on in the first round over Butch Reed, and the Macho rematch is set for the quarterfinals. And I'm gonna do just what they did, the same thing. One Man Gang goes over Bam Bam Bigelow. You know, again, in reality, they did it in less than 3 minutes. You could do the same thing. You got two big giant bruisers, you know, crazy head tattoos and stuff like that, beating up on each other. That's fun to watch. You know, One Man Gang goes over, boom. And Don Muraco goes over Dino Bravo. Don Muraco and Dino Bravo, same thing. They worked 4 minutes, you know, something like that, almost 5 minutes. Same thing. Don Muraco goes on. He beats Dino Bravo. Nice boom, 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 big muscly guy matches. Let's keep it moving. Now, Hulk Hogan and Andre, in reality, had a double DQ. Neither one of them moves on. They're both eliminated from the tournament, and that's what gives DiBiase the bye in the semifinal to move right to the finals. I got Hulk Hogan versus Andre. It's a rematch. It's a rematch of WrestleMania 2, though, as opposed to WrestleMania 3 in my fantasy booking. Yep, Hogan versus Andre. Hogan teamed with Andre in WrestleMania 1. Then it was Hogan versus Andre in WrestleMania 2. Now here we are, WrestleMania 4. It's the rematch again. But guess what? I got Hogan going over. And maybe, again, we do the whole storyline where Andre's trying to get a rematch for the title. And obviously we have to have a thing for why the tournament happened. So again, we're doing the Saturday Night Main Event. DiBiase buys the title from Andre, basically uses Andre as his enforcer to win the title. So here we are. But now Hogan and Andre in the quarterfinals here. Have Hogan win, but have him win by disqualification instead of doing a double DQ, and instead of having Andre job to Hogan again, you know, clean in the middle or whatever. Have Andre hit him with a chair, just like you know, they got crazy. And I think in reality, Hogan grabs a chair and hits Andre with a chair first, and then like 2 minutes later, Andre hits him, and they call it a double DQ. Like it seemed like almost like Andre should have won, just based off if you're a fan watching the match. It seemed like he would have won. But I got Hogan going over, so Hogan moves into the semifinals. Now I got Jake Roberts instead of drawing and nobody moving on for DiBiase, or drawing and moving on for somebody. I got DiBiase meeting up with Roberts in the quarterfinals, and you have that match. What a great match that is! Those guys worked together a lot. They knew each other very well, and that's almost a main event. That's a main event. You know, maybe not WrestleMania, but at house shows across the country or something like that. If you were to see Jake the Snake Roberts versus $1 Million Man in that era, that's an awesome match. So to get that as a quarterfinal, and again, maybe you do an 8-minute match, a 9-minute match, something like that. And you have DiBiase cheat and win or something like that, or Virgil holds the foot down or hit him with the $1 Million belt or whatever. And DiBiase over Roberts. And now again, in my third quarterfinal, you got Macho Man and Steamboat. Maybe you don't go as long as you did last year, but you put on a very similar match between those two guys. They both would have been faces at the time, which would have been a tough sell, but they were to do that, you know, a couple years anyway. And at the Wrestling Classic, they did face versus face matches in tournaments. Sometimes it worked out like that. So, again, you have two of the best athletes in the world in the prime of their lives. Macho versus Steamboat in a rematch from the previous year, but instead of the Intercontinental title, they have the semifinal on the line. Macho Man goes over, boom. And then you have, for me, I would have One Man Gang versus Don Muraco in the quarterfinal with One Man Gang going over. I don't have any buys except for the Hogan Andre in the first round. In reality, they had Jake Roberts and Rick Rude go the time limit draw, so that's a buy. But then they also had Hogan and Andre do a double DQ, so they had 2 buys in their tournament. I don't have any buys at all. I have One Man Gang beating Don Muraco though in the quarterfinal. Muraco beats Bravo. One Man Gang beats Bam Bam. Now One Man Gang beats Muraco, squishes them, splashes them, boom. Now that sets up Hogan versus DiBiase in one semifinal, and Macho Man in one Man Gang in the other semifinal. You got the ex-champion Hogan, greatest of all time, superstar. Ted DiBiase, the guy that tried to buy the title from, hired Andre to beat him to win the title for him, and tried to buy the title. On the other side, you got Macho Man. He's the up-and-comer, kind of hungry, wants the title. Lost last year's match, but still one of the greatest of all time. And One Man Gang, who they sort of always used as like the big, nasty monster final guy. He was in the finals of the Royal Rumble and stuff like that. And I have DiBiase going over Hogan. He cheats somehow or another. You get Andre involved or something like that. You get powder in the eye or count out or something like that. Yeah. And then have DiBiase go on to the final again. And Macho beats One Man Gang, and again Macho beat One Man Gang in the semifinals of the reality anyway. So boom, now you got your DiBiase Macho final. You still do the same thing. Hogan comes out, Andre's involved, DiBiase, Virgil, the chair shot. DiBiase goes down, big elbow drop, Macho Man wins the title, boom. And I still keep basically the same thing. They got Warrior and Hercules. I like that match. Keep that match. Setting up Warrior maybe for his SummerSlam Intercontinental title run. Islanders and Bobby Heenan versus Bulldogs and Koko Beware. Sure, I like that. Keep that going. Give Islanders a win at WrestleMania. That's a nice thing. Give Bobby Heenan his little moment. And Demolition beats Strikeforce for the tag title. I like that too. That's the big Rick Martel turn. And there's a breakup of the tag team and Demolition getting the titles. But yeah, that's my rebooking of the tournament. And again, if you got any other whatever questions, comments, concerns, just comment or feel free to leave something. Again, that's how I would have figured it. That's how I would have done it. If you want to see, I got that's the bracket there. No, you can keep that. That's just my layout there. But I hope you enjoyed it. Comment if you want something. If you got another idea, you think that or I'm crazy or something like that. Comment below. It's my kid. All right, take care. WrestleMania!